Yo, what's poppin'? People, your boy Snacks is back in the building with another banger. And you know how we do. Before we get started, we know we got to give a shout out to you, the viewer, for taking the time out to watch this video. But while you're here, can you do us a solid and hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please don't forget to leave your comments down in the comment section. And y'all know how we get down, man. We can't do a video without shouting out our favorite ladies, the CU aunties. So if you see them in the comment section, or if you see them in our chat when we are live, make sure that you give them a shout out, say hello, say what's up, but most of all, be respectful. We don't mind the trolls, but don't take it too far. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we finna get this party started because y'all know how we do. We do the doggone thing. But I got a question for you. Now that we've seen the first preseason games from all the teams, now that all of the talk about Shedeur has been backed up a little bit, who's regretting not making that pick? Me and my partners was having this question last night, you know. So I'm gonna ask y'all, who do you think regrets not drafting Shedeur before the Cleveland Browns got to him? Y'all ready? Let's go. Who do y'all think regrets not drafting Shedeur before Cleveland? Before the Browns made their pick, who do you think regrets not drafting Shedeur after his stellar performance on Friday? Because looking at it, we had what, 5 rounds, and Shedeur was the only quarterback picked in the 5th round. We had one Jackson Dart, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Tyler Show, Jalen Miro, Dylan Gabriel. 5 quarterbacks go before Shedeur Sanders. So who do you think most likely regrets their pick after watching Shedeur do what he did? With the first pick, we all knew Cam Ward was going to go first to the Tennessee Titans. And next up on the block was the New York Giants. And we all thought that they would pull Shedeur or Travis. It was a 1-2. But knowing New York needed a quarterback, we didn't lean more toward Travis. We thought it would be Shedeur. A lot of other people said it was a choice between Shedeur and Abdul Carter. So apparently we know they went with Abdul Carter at 2. Came back in the back of the 1st round with the 25th pick and drafted Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart seems to be holding his own up there in New York, doing pretty doggone good, handling things, keeping it together. But as things are shaking up in Cleveland, and with all of the press that the Cleveland Browns are getting, with all the attention that the Browns are getting, the eyes are on Cleveland. So which one of these teams do we think that had some sort of regret? Because next in the draft order were the New York Saints. New Orleans Saints, not the New York Saints, the New Orleans Saints. And we knew they were in dire straits. We knew they had a couple of quarterbacks down there. But Shedeur was still on the board in the 2nd round. And no, this is 1st round. But they drafted Tyler Show in the 2nd round. So with Shedeur still being on the board, but I knew they weren't going to draft Shedeur Sanders. I have been screaming it from the top of my lungs that the New Orleans Saints are not drafting Shedeur Sanders because their real draft pick is next year when Gus Nussmeier comes out. His father is the offensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints. We already knew, well, me and my partners, we already knew that the young Arch Manning was not coming out next year. He's going to stay in school and graduate. He's not going to screw up that family tradition. They're not in dire straits for money. They already got generational wealth. They got 2 Super Bowl quarterbacks in their family and great businessmen. That media company, Omaha, that Peyton and Eli own, are doing wonderful work. And along with the Budweiser stuff and the other things that they own. So we knew that the Saints weren't going to draft Shedeur Sanders, but the question still remains. Do they regret not doing it? Or is Gus Nussmeier going to be worth the wait? That's the question. But another unexpected draft pick went in round 3. And that was the Seattle Seahawks drafting Jalen Milroe from the University of Alabama. Now, Jalen is a wonderful quarterback. He is an athletic quarterback. No question about his arm. No question about his foot speed. The only question was his accuracy in the medium pass range. That 15 to 35 yard, 20 yard range, 25 yard range. There's been questions on that. I have no questions. Jalen Milroe is a hell of a quarterback. And the more you play, the more you get better. And then in the 3rd round, also, without a doubt, without any questions asked, guess who else got drafted? And by who? The one and only Cleveland Browns stepped up and drafted Dillon Gabriel. The Cleveland Browns stepped up to the plate and drafted Dillon Gabriel. What in the world? Yeah, they stepped up and drafted Dillon Gabriel. And that shook up the world. We didn't know that Dillon Gabriel was a hot commodity. Dillon Gabriel had a 6th round draft pick grade. But the Cleveland Browns said, hey, that's our guy. And then somebody else that nobody was expecting. Nobody was expecting. The Cleveland Browns turned right back around and drafted Shedeur Sanders. But also, the Raiders had a pick in the 1st round, and they skipped Shedeur Sanders because they already had a veteran quarterback. But people were like, Tom Brady, that's your man. You're supposed to get your boy. What are we doing? And everybody to this day still questions why Tom Brady didn't draft his mentee, the guy that he helped become the quarterback that he is to this day, that he trained and mentored with. why did you not draft Shedeur Sanders? Also, right before the Raiders had that pick, the Indianapolis Colts had a pick, and they could have drafted Shedeur Sanders because they were also having problems with AR-15. Mr. Anthony Richardson has been quite the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. He hasn't lived up to the first round draft pick that they thought he was going to be. Had problems with quitting on the team, not being coachable, and his progress has seemed to stall out or become limited. So the question was, what was Indy going to do? They need a quarterback, but they didn't draft Shedeur. And it's crazy that you pass up and Mel Kiper is standing on the desk.
Sanders and Shedeur Sanders, I like to say is, I think it's disgusting. I don't understand what the heck's going on with this. Fifth player on my board. It's never happened before in 47 years where a player that high has dropped this far into the fourth round at quarterback. It's sitting there in round 4 with other quarterbacks being taken who aren't as good as Shedeur, aren't even close, in my opinion, in terms of accuracy, toughness. Arm strength is certainly more than good enough. I don't see, outside of not being have the rocket arm and the 4.6 speed and a big frame, the 6'3", 230-pound frame, what does he lack?
But yet and still, Shedeur is in Cleveland. And the narrative is starting to change because the Cleveland media has been trying to push that Shedeur is not a great learner, that it's been hard for him to learn Stefanski's offense. It's been hard for him to be able to call plays in the huddle. It's been hard for him to be able to read defenses and slide offensive protections and do all the pre-snap huddle things. But we all knew that wasn't true. We all knew that Cleveland put themselves in a pickle when drafting Shedeur. But now, after this weekend, after Friday, after that stellar performance, after that amazing gameplay, the Cleveland Brown fans are clamoring for Shedeur Sanders. Now the question is, where is he going to move in the doggone? Where is he going to be in the rotation? With Dylan Gabriel hurt, with Kenny Pickett hurt, and Shedeur still listed at QB4, which is understandable. The Brown fans are not having it. They want to know why the man that led them to their first preseason win in 3 to 4 years, why hasn't he been elevated on the quarterback charts? Why is he still sitting at the 4th spot on the depth chart? And the answer to that is simple. Shedeur is an amazing quarterback, but it makes no sense to move him on the depth chart because Dylan Gabriel hasn't had his chance on the field. Kenny Pickett is hurt and still hasn't had his chance on the field, which I doubt Kenny Pickett will get because they claim he's hurt. So now the question is, going into this week with the Eagles, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders are going to get most of the reps. They should split the game in half. My suggestion is Dylan Gabriel starts. He needs to be under that fire. He needs to be in that heat. But we shall see. But my question to you, the people, is now that the draft is over, now that the first preseason game has been played, who regrets not drafting Shedeur? Once again, is it Seattle for Jalen Milroe? Is it the Pittsburgh Steelers who didn't draft him at all? Is it the New Orleans Saints or the New York Giants? Should have been the Raiders or maybe even the Indianapolis Colts. But all in all, it ended up being the Cleveland Browns. But y'all tell me, y'all let me know in the comment section, who regrets it more? I guess we'll find out. But I'm going to get out of here, man. Y'all have a good day. We're going to drop a nothing. Y'all know how we get down. We not done. I'm out of here. Y'all be good. Peace.